Okay. So, ESXi is back up and running. I had to go to 5.5, and I had even had to go to a third party, which I believe this is when I had problems with 5.5 in the first place, which made me go back to 5.5, 5.1 before I went to version 6. This was years ago, by the way. Which means I could not download the vSphere. Okay, where 5.1 just downloads the vSphere for you and you'll be good to go. But I did find a 5.5 downloadable EXE for, which is still a not an EXE as far as just a running application, but it actually installs the program. Okay, and that allows me to get in there. I applied the license, and we are running on an old ESXi server. 8.0 did not work. Now, from 8.0 perspective, okay, first of all, I'm using a ProLiant server, which is the old server of my buddy's. Which he was going to throw away the server. He gave it to me, which was great because I had lost my servers. So having he gave me that server, the ProLiant, and a USC server. He never got the USC server to work, but that's a bridge for another day. Okay, but let's go take a look at this. USXi server here. I can't tell you how important this is to me. How crucial this is to have a working hypervisor. Now, keep in mind, this is not 8.0. Okay, so this is not the newest one. Okay, but my older ones work. Okay, and I couldn't get them to work at all in VMware at all, and that had nothing to do with the nesting. Even on my other laptop, I just couldn't get it to work. But bare metal, actually, when I got back to that way of getting everything set up yesterday, everything just falls back into place. It just gives you a nice appreciation for things that I'm not going to do again. Okay, what's happening? Okay, first of all, why is this? What is this? Okay, so the typing you're going to hear a lot louder. Most likely, without me noticing, you're going to hear me bang on the keys. Okay, but I got a keyboard where it actually feels comfortable to typing. Okay, I'm very big on mechanical switches. I mean, mechanical keyboards. However, I like the ones with the switches. But hey, the fact you're gonna notice a much more fluent aspect of me typing because with those other keyboards, it was just I was fat fingering and it just wasn't comfortable. All right, so. Okay, so what's the problem? Okay, first of all, stop. Root. Login. Ignore, not cancel. That's I think that's the problem I was doing. Okay, so when I got the server, okay. I noticed, and this is look, guys, I'm an IT guy, okay, all right. I mean, since 1994, like I said, that's when I got into computers, okay, and I can tell you every line on that boot screen that will come up on my Windows, as far as the BIOS and the memory tests and all that stuff, the power on self test, all that stuff, okay. Even with my computer now. It's not really that necessary because the splash screen is probably going to hide a lot of that stuff. And I really don't feel like the energy of going through the BIOS and trying to figure out how to get rid of the splash screen because it's really not that crucial. Okay, but when I first booted this device, the first thing I noticed was um, the two of the memory DIMMs were not working correctly. Okay, they're not in the right spots. All right, so when I took it apart, I took the server apart, and if you don't know, ProLiant servers are very easy to take apart. Okay, now to my friend, this was an old server. I don't know if he replaced the server or not. All I know is I got two servers out of it, so I'm happy. The UCS server is not up and running yet because I have to. I have to go through it and find out what's needed. I'm gonna have to get some hard drives and some RAM and stuff like that. That's for another day. All right, but for right now, I got plenty of things that I need. Okay, first of all right, two of his DIMMs was misplaced, and I could tell that the individual, which is my friend, which I already knew that. I mean, I mentored this guy, so he's not a PC guy. Okay, all right. I mean, he's a networking guy. Don't get me wrong. All right, and has gained my respect throughout the years of him walking that path. So, but as a PC guy, like back in the day, taking things apart, soldering things on the board, fixing things, changing code, changing registries, changing power supplies on devices like your hard drive and read heads. He's not that type of guy. Does that make sense? So for years, he has been using this server with this memory error. And the cool thing about it is, it doesn't really matter because the server ignored the errors. So it's not like it forced you into BIOS. It's not like it's like we can't go any further. Okay, it literally just said, hey, these two DIMMs that you're using, they're just probably not going to work right. Oh well. Okay, so what I ended up doing was taking all the RAM out and putting them in the right spots on the motherboard. Okay, because when you have 9 DIMMs for each processor. Okay, all right, you got to put them in a certain order. All servers are like that. Okay, even the UCS servers, you got to put them in a certain order, otherwise you're going to have issues. Okay, all right. His issues was just he didn't pay attention to it. Okay, as long as it booted, okay, he was fine. So he never really paid attention to that aspect. Okay, so for those who actually go through, okay, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, if you're not a PC guy, if you're not a server guy, hey, that's just the way it is. If you're not a hardware guy, that's just the way it is. Okay, you're not gonna have problems until the problems stop you from moving forward, and that's not what was happening in this case. So when him and I kept talking back and forth, he was like, "Well, it worked when I was, last time I used it." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not saying it's not working. It works, okay? It always has worked. It's just the fact that you just had an error with your memory, and that has now been fixed, okay? So once that was done, I put it all back together, okay? And it ran a memory test, and it came up and said, hey, your memory configuration has changed, and bam, all errors were gone, okay? Now, 8.0 with ESXi did not run, okay? First of all, I was getting some kind of weird error, and it wasn't really an error. All I had to do was hit the tab key, and it would come up with just like, it would say install HDD, whatever, okay? I mean, it literally told you what command to run for ESXi. So I was like, well, shit, that's awesome as hell. I had tried different things. Rufus, if you don't know what that is, it's a way of making a bootable, making a flash drive bootable and putting the information on that disk, like mine was VMware, okay, to actually run. So, I had problems with that. I fixed that problem, okay, because it's giving me some weird error, right? And figure out what the error was, fix that. And then 8.0 wouldn't work. Okay? It got to a part of the installation where it would just sit there and nothing. Okay? Now, in VMware's defense, okay, all right, in order to use VMware, all right, and this is for those who don't know, for those who use VMware, you got to be okay. You don't have to, but you should. Okay, be on their list of supported hardware. Okay, and as versions of ESXi or VMware go up, okay, mine's ESXi, all right, as they go up, like 8.0, right, and I'm on 5.1, when they go up, okay, the thing is, the hardware list changes, okay, and older servers might not be on there that were on there last year, okay, so that could be an issue. All I know is I didn't even go to 5.1. I went to 5.5 first. Okay, it came right on up. Okay, and we're good to go. So now let's take a look at what we have here. So now here is my host. I hate that they call it that, but that's what it is. The 1.15 is an IP address that is reachable. That is the IP address of my ESXi VMware software, which is running on bare metal. No operating system. This is the operating system. Okay? So now, if we go here, because I got to retrain myself on all this stuff. So now, if I go over to, it's up here, summary. Okay. So, that's 80 gigs of RAM. I think I got plenty of RAM. Okay, if I got 32, if I got 64 on my machine here, I think 80 would be just fine. Okay, so now, I have almost 3 terabytes of hard drive space. Okay, meaning that hey, this is fine. Okay, this is fine. And I got plenty of memory I can put in. I can put in like 300 some gigs of memory. Okay, so there's a lot more I can put there, and I can also put in a lot more hard drive space. But right now, this is fine. Consider the fact that every Cisco device. Okay, let's go to settings. Okay, is using 2.5 gigs of RAM. Okay, and we are using 8 gigs of hard drive space. That's kind of a lot as far as how many I can build. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn all these on. Yoink. Yeah, that's the only way you can do that, because otherwise you can't select them all over here. But they're all coming on. All right, so now let's go over here. Okay, and yeah, my bar is just like right there. All right, for my memory, that's my memory. Okay, now let's go back over here. Power off. Okay, it doesn't even seem like it's moving, so, oh well. Not sure why that's not moving, because it should, I mean, I guess 2.5 gigs of memory really ain't, now you gotta keep in mind, just because it's 2.5 gigs that's allocated to it, doesn't mean it's utilizing it, okay? But during a boot process, usually is when your memory is at its highest. Okay? And maybe this thing is not set up for like giving me refreshing like every second. Maybe it's a lot longer than that. I don't really care. Alright? Until I see that damn thing like halfway full, it's not, I'm not even gonna bat an eye. Alright, so let's turn them on. Okay, so now we're gonna actually. I installed my older version of Secure CRT. Okay, because I got tired of trying to get Putty to work the way I wanted to, and it wasn't working. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run these bad boys. Point. These are all set up. Okay, and first of all, let's stop right there. Let's go back. Okay, because first of all, actually, how do I do this? Let's go to properties. 14. And where's my color? No. Oh, here we go. It's right here. So that's not it. And we're going to say yellow and black. That's it right there. Okay. So now, okay, let's select all these. And let's go to properties. And yes. And font. 14. And yellow and black. Everything I need right in there. And now let's go ahead. Select these. Enter. Okay. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay. And now let's go into here. And it's still booting. Alright. So we're going to wait. Make sure that we are saying send command to all sessions. Okay. Alright. And we'll wait till this boots. If you don't know how to use Secure CRT, trust me, guys, especially, I mean, there's cool things you can do with this software. You can make buttons, okay, and those buttons will allow you to actually run a series of commands, okay. I use them a lot of times when I want to do troubleshooting commands, unless I'm going to just do show tech support, okay, but if I hit enter in here, there we go, and it's going to all of them, okay? So now if I go in here and say enable show IP interface brief, and that's for all of them. Gotta love it, okay? All right, don't get too cocky with this because, oh look, the memory moved. So, sweet. Okay, so don't get too cocky with that because you could definitely be reloading a switch forgetting that you're sending it to all your sessions. So don't do that. Okay, so now, whenever I create a CSR 1000V or CSR router, okay, and this is the one that I got from Kevin Wallace, okay, all right, I still have not got my Cisco course. I'm still fighting with them on being able to purchase that course, okay? And the money's still in my bank because I wanted to start studying my security stuff today. And I still have to work on getting me down to a testing center for Security Plus. So now, okay, they always give you 3 interfaces, okay? Interface 1 isn't necessarily interface 1. And it becomes annoying because you're trying to make changes to a particular interface, and you're like, what the hell? Especially when you're like changing MAC addresses and stuff like that in ESXi, if that's what you want to do, okay. Especially when you're cloning devices, you can't really clone them as far as VMware just right-click and clone. Well, not with this particular version anyway. I don't know about version 6 or higher, but at the same time, you know, whenever you clone those devices by copying the MXD follower, which I didn't do that. I just created the OV. I just used the OVI and just created all my 6 machines. Okay, so now this gives me the ability. I'm sorry. When you clone the machine, the MAC address is going to stay the same. I mean, you have to physically go in there and change it unless, which I do recall it actually recalling it actually asking to see if we were going to change that MAC address or do we want it linked to each other. And I never do clones as far as linking is concerned. So now, okay. All right, so now let's get to our networking aspect. Oops, no, we don't want to close that. Stop. No. All right, so now let's go into networking. You know what? And I just realized because of my OCD crap, okay, which we all have, right? I'm tapping on the desk and that microphone's picking it up, and I apologize for that. So now, where do I go? It's in here. It's a configuration. And yes, it is configuration. Okay, now, this is the power of all power right here. Okay, because each one of these green little things is telling you that one or two interfaces, which we only got two, right? I can have 10 if I wanted to, if I wanted to put them in there. But I only got two interfaces for each router. So one or two interfaces are actually allocated to this particular port group. Now, here's the thing. If, let's go in here, edit. Notice that each one of these adapters is assigned to VM networking. Okay? Alright? Meaning that if we go back, I'm still tapping on the desk. I'm sorry about that, guys. So here, let's go back to here. That means two interfaces of each one of these routers are in port group called network, a VM network. Now, what is a port group? Well, first of all, that's a default port group that's created. Okay, we're going to create our own. Alright? And I am going to properties, add. First of all, we're going to kill this. Remove. Okay. You know why I can't remove that? I apologize. And that's because this physical interface is attached to here. Now, let me see something here. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get these other network cards up and running. Oh my God. Oh, all right. Where am I going to get those from? Okay, I guess I got to see what's on the floor here. Okay. I tell you what I need to do is make other Ethernet cables. So you know what? I'm just gonna do one, and I'll get the other one up and running. Just hang on for a second. We're only gonna do one extra one right now. Oh my God. I'm waiting for it to turn green. Because obviously this other switch does not have port fast enabled. So we're waiting. And something tells me I need to actually go in, because it's not showing up in here. So let's go back. Network adapters. Okay, so there it is. So this one's on, and this one's on. I don't know why this is not showing up. Maybe if I go back to it. No, it's not. I'll have to deal with that later. Oh, you know why? No. That's not what I want. Okay, but nonetheless. Okay, so we're going to add a virtual machine. And we're going to say net 1. Is it in there? And there it is. Okay, so now let's go net 2. Okay, what just happened? This, rename, or edit. Net 3. No. Not 3. Okay, first of all, okay, I made 6 of these, okay? And what we're going to use these port groups as, literally, technically, is just simple bridges, okay? And we're going to get to that in a minute. Now, I could actually isolate this traffic, okay, via a VLAN ID, but we're not going to do that, okay? All right, and what we're going to do is this, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take CSR1, which is over here. Yeah, I know I'm a little rusty, but that's all right. Okay, and I'm going to move this over to net 1. Okay. I'm going to move this over to net 2. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to move the first one over to net 1. Okay. And then net 2, I am going to... First of all, why is it in net 4? Net 1. Okay. Alright, so let's make sure this is right. I am going to leave adapter 2 there because we're going to actually test this. So, let's go back to our network. Up here. Okay, so now look at what's happening. CSR1 and 2 has an interface sitting in group net 1. There's only one interface from a CSS1 in net 2. And the other one in CSS1 or... Wait a minute. Oh, no. It was 2. And 2 is actually in VMware Network. Okay, so now, here's the thing. So now, we're going to do this. So, config T interface G 1 IP address 192.168. Yeah, a lot smoother, isn't it? Okay. Keyboard definitely makes a huge difference. All right, and let's go over here. Interface G1. Actually, no. Let's go to interface G2. Okay, so alright, so now let's go ahead and ping 1.2. Now keep in mind that this interface here is in VM Network, where how the hell am I getting that message? Okay, and this one is actually in net 1. Okay, so that's not going to work. But yet it did. So let's stop right now and let's figure what the hell's going on here. Okay, so now let's go back into here. Go properties. And promiscuous mode is rejected. Okay, reject. How the hell are you kidding? A duplicate IP address? First of all, it's not even the same IP address. Okay, now let's move this one over here. Let's go into here. And let's move. First of all, let's move you over to net 3. I'll wait for that message to see if it comes back up again. Okay, so now let's go back because we gotta make sense out of this. And let's go back over to configuration. So this interface and this interface, that's in network 3. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Promiscuous mode is supposed to allow traffic to communicate, but we have, across these port groups, but we have it rejected. I don't understand why that's working. However, we're going to make this so it is isolated. So hold on. Give me 1 second here. I'll blow my nose. So let's do a property. Ow. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go into net 1. First of all, yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go into here, go properties, and net 1. Let's edit. Oh, well, excuse the hell of me. Okay, so let's edit. Okay, and then let's go to 3, and let's edit that. Got your ass. Okay, I'm sorry. It looked like it was actually rejected, and it's not. Okay, so keep in mind, when promiscuous mode is not there, okay, When it's not selected, that means everything on this bar here can communicate with each other. We don't want that. Okay, we want every one of these port groups like they're in their own separate switch. Okay, and that's exactly what we just did. So now, that's why this ping does not work anymore. So now, if I go back over here, okay, all right. Oops. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. So, that's not working. Alright. And so now we gotta go back here. Alright, looks like I gotta play with this again some more. So, first of all, let's go back over here. And right now we're just playing around. So net 1, and net 1. Okay. Alright. They are... Why the hell do I keep getting that? Why do I keep getting that? It doesn't make any sense. Alright, so let's go back over here. Now we need to go over here. Networking, properties, net 1. What does that mean? MAC adjust changes, forge, transmit. Alright, so let's stop right there. And let's go back over to here. Let's take a look at its MAC address. 08DA. Let's go back over here. .60CO. 60CO. Oh my God. Where's that MAC address even coming from? Oh my God. Oh my God. Hang on for a second. Hang on for a second. Do you know why we're getting this? Because my dumbass... Yo. Okay, first of all... Jesus Christ. Okay, so... I can't believe I was doing that. So hang on for 1 second. I'm not even recognizing... I'm not realizing that my IP address scheme is on the same network. ESXi. Oh my god. Okay, first of all, let's stop right now. Let's go back over to here. Okay. That's why I'm getting an IP conflict. One IP address 192.168.10.2. Oh my lord. Okay. Alright, so don't do the same mistake as I did. Okay? Even though this is the fun part of it all. Okay? Because I was like, that I don't remember seeing that MAC address, the 06CO. But nonetheless, okay? This traffic, okay? If I wanted to use an IP address scheme, okay, first of all, here is the thing. Here is a really interesting thing because let's go back over here. How? Okay, all right, hang on for 1 second. I know what's happening. Okay, obviously I'm actually putting on the same IP scheme as my home network, but it shouldn't. Not that it really matters. I mean, because the best way to isolate, to separate that is just give it a new IP scheme. But sorry, I keep tapping. I'm sorry. That's OCD shit. So see, when we're in this port, you know what? This is what I need to do. I need to create add a label. Okay, let's cancel that. I got VMware. See, that's the V switch. Why can I not add another V switch? What am I doing wrong? Add networking. Aha. Okay. Alright. So that's how I do this. I totally forgot about that. So let us, that one's down, this one's down, this one's up, and this one's up. I don't want to use any one. Okay? Alright? And I'm going to say but is this, let's see what this actually makes. Because I want a whole nother, come on, finish. Aha, it did that. It gave me another switch. Okay, so now we are going to go over here, okay, and change this, edit settings. Okay, first of all, we're going to put both of these in network number 7. This do the same. Okay. 7. Okay, I really want to put both of them in there, but still. Okay, so now when I go back over to here, all right, let's make this bigger. Now you see here, and now I can actually go in here and create a new one. Okay, let's say net 18. Keep that there. Okay, and now go over here, edit, and this is net 17. Okay, and close. Go back over here and edit settings and change this to 18. Okay, and change this to 18. Okay, now let's go back to our networking. Okay, and that's not working correctly, is it? Should be 117 and 118. What's going on? All right, so let's go back over here to settings. That is, oh, my bad. Net 17. Net 17, because that's no longer a real label. And now go back over here, and there we go. Okay, so now I can go back over here, okay, and interface G1. Actually, just do it up. All right, and now 1, and then over here 2. Alright, and now do ping 192.168.1.2. And I did it. Okay? Alright, so there we go. Alright. For some reason, I just couldn't remember how to get down to the second switch, but, you know, there we go. We have our separate V-switches. Now, notice that this particular new V-switch has no physical interface into it, meaning that anything in this V-switch, because there's no physical network card attached to it, there's no way for it to get to my other network of the 192.168.1 network anyway. Okay? All right, so I've isolated it. And this, we also got to understand, if I actually go back over here to default interface G1, okay, and interface G2, IP address 192.168.1.2, 255.255.255.0, no shut, do show IP interface brief. Now, I'm going over to here, do ping 192.168.1.2. Alright, now, that's a problem, okay? Because I'm still able to hit this even though we're in two different port groups. So let's go over to here. Let's go here. And edit. And security. Reject. Edit. Security. Reject. Okay, not what I'm looking for. So let's go back into here. Okay, let's go look this up real quick. Maybe I got it backwards. That's what I figured. This mode is disabled by default for security reasons. Okay, so it should not be doing that. So hang on for 1 second. We're going to accept. Accept. Okay, and let's go back over here. That's not right. That's not right at all. And it should be, I mean, this is what it should be. Edit. This should be reject. Okay. And this should be reject. Okay. Now, okay, this should not work. Now, let's try this now. We're going to actually put a VLAN ID on it. Okay. And 10. $20. Ha ha ha! That'll stop it. Okay? Alright, so what we have done now, okay? Alright? And you can see that we've created VLANs in there. I don't know why the promiscuous port is not working. I do remember having some issues with 5.5, which made me go to 6. Okay, just to try it out because someone was like, "Oh man, 6 is so much better," and it was just a different user interface, and it wasn't all that great. Okay, as far as functionality was concerned, but it worked. But as you can see, now we have isolated, okay, that traffic from going across port groups. Okay, and all we did was just add a VLAN ID. Okay, so now let's go back into default interface G2. Alright. Alright, let's put that there and let's say interface G1. Okay, done. Do show IP interface brief. Okay, and now let's go back over to here. Okay, so as you see, okay, this gives us the ability to separate and isolate, okay, to the point where I know for a fact switch 1 and switch 2 are directly connected to each other within this port group, okay, virtually, but still. The only one that's going to talk to switch 1 on switch 1's interface G1 is going to be router. I'm saying switch. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The only one that's going to talk to CSR1 on G1 interface is going to be CSR2 on G1's interface. Okay? All right? Forget about the promiscuous mode. It's not working the way it's supposed to. It is what it is. But in our labs, we cannot have that. Okay? We have to have it set up the way we're doing it, where we're having like a point-to-point link, and those are only 2 people on that actual port group. All right? And if we have to use ID, we have to use VLAN tags, okay, and which are not VLAN tags, but VLAN IDs to separate that traffic. Hey, it is what it is, okay? I'll take it, all right? But we cannot have bleeding over traffic, okay? and this is the one thing we could not succeed in: VLANware workstation. We just could not get it to work. Okay, all right, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the promiscuous thing is it shouldn't be working either. Okay, now the only other thing, okay, to isolate that traffic, okay, is to create multiple switches and only put two interfaces on each one of those switches. Okay, that works too. Okay, but at least now we have a way of isolating. Okay, all right, this isolation is very important. That means every port group is only going to have two interfaces in it. Okay, that's it. All right, and each one of those port groups are going to be tagged with a VLAN. Okay, now I say tag, but it's not like it's trunking. But you know, now here's the thing. Here's a couple things. All right, if I change, now I can't do this in here. I have to actually go into the server and do that. If I change the VLAN for this particular link to 4045, that is turning on trunking for this particular interface. And the cool thing about that is that means I will send a trunk from my switch over to the ESXi server, okay? And all the traffic that comes across will be tagged, okay? And as I assign these tags to each one of these port groups, which will actually be up here, right? Okay? Then that traffic for VLAN 10 will go into the actual port groups of VLAN 10 that has the VLAN ID on there. This is fantastic because what you can do is imagine having 10 networks. Each one of those 10 networks have a DHCP server on it, okay? All right, and it's sending out IP addresses for that particular network, and everyone that's in that particular, that means I have 10 separate VLANs, 10 separate DHCP scopes, and everyone's pulling their own separate network, okay? All right, done it before. All right, so now we've gotten this far. This is astronomical, okay? And I can't tell you how important getting to this point is for us to get to, so now we can actually start going back to our labs, doing the things that we need to do, okay? And I got plenty of space because I'm gonna put some PCs in there, and you know I had to figure out how to do some firewalls in there, so on and so on. And once I get the ASAs in there, that changes things drastically from my perspective, because I can start using ASAs, and then I got to figure out how to get firepower in there and FMC. Okay, so that's pretty much our video. Okay, and I like thank you guys for listening. But hey, guys, we are back in business, and we got nowhere to look up but up. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.